Hey Les, I'll use the small one. So although it's awkward, here's the camera.
Oh my God. Don't do that again.
Sorry.
That's
So,
awkward. Is this right? Good, how are you?
Good. Didn't you say you like to sing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You gonna join us? The chorus?
Yeah, sure. Well, how do I know when it's ending?
Well, there's a woman in a kind of a gray-white jacket, 3-4 rows down, with a sweater on her.
Oh, yeah.
That's Linda Delaware.
Oh, okay. Delory.
You want me to introduce her? You have a minute? Can I do that?
Let's wait. I
Wait,
think we
okay,
did
afterwards.
after. I think
Right.
we've done. I just don't
Because I
know.
knew you asked me last time I saw you who to talk to. So I
Right.
wanted to
Okay.
close that circle.
Thank you. I
So,
appreciate it.
you're welcome. You're welcome.
So I will now.
And will Sam also, he's gonna do the libation?
I need to mature this.
All right. But if not,
You know, well, you can make words and I'll do stuff.
that's great.
Well, thank you, Rick. His eye is on the sparrow. I haven't thought of that song in lifetimes, so thank you for bringing that. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. I'll sing a phrase and then we'll sing it together. So I sing, whoever you are, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, truly welcome here. I'm Reverend Michelle Buchheit, the minister of this congregation. My pronouns, which I offer to create a truly inclusive and brave space for all to live in the fullness of their identities, are she and her. I'm joined on the platform today by Reverend Sally Hamlin, retired UU minister and newly minted member of UU Amherst. And we're very pleased to have Juli Grey-Owens from Gender Equality New York as our guest speaker. And you'll hear more about and from her a little later in the service. When we gather, we are brought together with sounds. The sound of the singing bowl that calls us to attention, the sound of a musical prelude to help us center ourselves and be ready to listen to the messages from within and among us. And on the days when the fates are truly smiling, we hear the sounds of families arriving, children excitedly greeting one another and engaging with the quiet activities at the back of the chapel. We are so blessed to be a green and growing community, and we cherish the sounds of life that greet us here each week. If during the service you find it difficult to hear because of the burst of life and energy, feel free to move forward. And also, if you're having trouble hearing, actually the sound is better, and this is not just me trying to sneakily get you to come forward. It really is better once you get out from underneath the loft. So, and we do have hearing devices at the back at the usher station. There's so many ways that we can help accommodate your need to be fully present to what is happening within and among. Thank you for your patience and for your loving smiles at the parents who often arrive exhausted and thirsty for your presence.
New pulpit, changes, and aren't we lucky to be gathered here today for these community, this blessed community. We're so glad that each of you is here today. If you are a newcomer, we hope you'll keep coming back and make this place your place. For those of you who already made UU Amherst your home, we hope you will continue to challenge yourself to grow and discover opportunities to learn and serve. For those of you gathered here in the chapel today, I urge you to either place your phone on airplane mode or turn it off completely to free up web bandwidth for the live stream. Remember that we have a wider community that you can see as people who join us online now and later via YouTube, and our attention to their experience is a gift. I want to remind you that everything about our time here together has been carefully crafted to create a cohesive experience. So let yourself relax and be fully present to what unfolds around you and within you. You are safe here. You are among friends. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whomever you love, you are welcome here. When we gather, we employ the elements of water and fire to create the sacred space where we can be fully present. We begin with the acknowledgement that our church is built on holy ground, land that was nurtured and cultivated by those who are before us. We offer this libation as our giveaway, as we honor the struggle of all people seeking justice and peace. We seek the courage and wisdom to heal the wounds of the past and build a better future story with all our neighbors and creatures together. Once we've acknowledged that this land doesn't belong to us, we belong to the land, it's our custom. We gather to light a chalice. The chalice is a cup or a vessel that symbolizes the gathered community. The flame represents the spark that each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. Please join me in our chalice lighting words, which you'll see on the screen. We this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs, we light this beacon of hope, signs for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together.
Good morning. Reverend Sally's laughing at me because I am short, so I have to pull out the thing. For those of you that don't know, that's why it takes an extra second. I'm Kitty Cosgrove, our Director of Faith Development at this congregation, and my pronouns are she and her. We're honored to welcome to the pulpit Juli Grey-Owens from Gender Equality Network, and a statewide incorporated nonprofit whose mission it is to support transgender, gender non-binary, and intersex New Yorkers and their families. Juli is providing a twofer for us today, beginning with her reflection here and then continuing with a workshop at noon. Her topics today explore the gender versus assigned sex at birth, pronouns, and more. As the executive director and founder of GENY, Juli works on necessary legislation, provide opportunities for community members to connect, and to educate the public by organizing and delivering Trans 101 sessions across the state. She has provided training for healthcare providers, government agencies, police departments, school personnel, and camp directors. We look forward to Juli's insights during the reflection and a little bit later in the service. This came about because Reverend Michelle and I were talking about the need for this understanding in our world and this compassion in our world that can often go misunderstood and breed a lot of, unfortunately, hate. So today we welcome with love and compassion and empathy, and we focus our eyes on justice in order to build a better world.
Thank you. Our gathering music this morning, Gray hymnal, number 396, I know this rose will open. And it's just 4 little phrases. I mean, it's so cute. And so Rick is going to play it through once, and then we'll sing it together once, and then something could happen. Y'all know what it could be, don't you? Okay. So, Rick, if you play it. I'll give a relative if you should go high or low. Let's try it together. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. Well, that just wants more singing, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. So we're going to sing it as a round. So Ellen, if you don't mind coming up and taking over. So this side will follow Ellen, and y'all will follow me. I'll turn off my microphone so it's not the Michelle show. And we will sing this through a total of 3 times as a round. So exciting. If you get lost, just hum. I don't know. deserve applause. That was awesome. Each week, we bring our whole selves into this space. Our joys, our concerns, our sorrows, all the complicated feelings of this time. And we create a sacred container where we can, if only for a moment, put down those cares, share those moments of connection and community. And the way we do that is by coming forward and placing a stone or a shell on the table labyrinth here, our way of bringing our whole selves into service. I will note that there is a candle, it's not lit, in the middle, but please don't stack stones in it because it will be lit soon. So come forward as the music plays. Place a final stone in recognition of the joys, concerns, and sorrows of those who are joining us online. You are also part of this community. Let's just share a few breaths to come back into this place. And we expand our circle to include those who may not be present, but whom we carry in our hearts. We bring into our circle of love and care those who are ill and those who care for them. Those who are in pain, either in body or in spirit. Those who are lonely. Those who are overwhelmed and feeling lost. those who have been wronged. We are part of a web of life that makes us one with all humanity, one with all the universe. We are grateful for the miracle of consciousness that we share, the consciousness that gives us the power to remember, to love, and to care. May it ever be so in our lives. Amen, and blessed be. A wonder box. And so I wonder if any kids would like to come forward and help me with the wonder box. Hey, Poppy, you want to come and see the wonder box? Of course you do. Anybody else? That's okay. Y'all are young at heart. Would you do me the favor of opening it? Can you open that? Oh my goodness. What'd you find? What did you find? Oh, he's so cute, isn't he? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, it's a bear. How unusual. So I have a story about a bear. This one's name is Guinness. I wonder how he got that name. I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to need your help because every time I lift him up, I need for y'all, all y'all, to say, "But I'm a bear." Okay? Practice that. But I'm a bear. I didn't lift up the bear. That's the last time I'll be tricky with you. It's okay. So there was this. But I'm a bear. He lived in the woods, like they do. And in the autumn, we know that when it starts to get cold and the leaves fall, and sometimes, I don't know, it's icy in the morning. So what do bears do at that time? Yes, they hibernate for a very long time. Well, this particular bear went hibernating. I think that's a funny thing to say. He went into a cave to hibernate. And it was all warm and cozy in there, and he slept so soundly. And he dreamed of the forest and of berries. Oh, and he was looking forward to spring. Spring came, and bears know those things. Even though he was inside a cave, bears know. And so he came out, and he was like, "Wow, it's so dark in my cave. I can't remember where the door even is." Well, he finally found an opening that was not his door, and he squeezed his springtime bear body, because, you know, he hadn't eaten in a long time, squeezed his way out, and there was no forest. Because during that time when he was hibernating, there had been a factory built that took over that whole forest. They cut every tree. They put concrete down everywhere. And this big forest was now a big factory. And that was really sad. So he's wandering around, and a foreman of the factory looks at him and goes, hey, get in here. It's not time for your break. And the bear said, "But I'm a bear." And the foreman said, "That's pretty funny. You just don't want to come into work. And you are just a silly man who hasn't shaved in a long time. And you're wearing a fur coat. And so get inside." And the bear said, "Put on the bear." And the foreman said, "Okay, we're going to go talk to the manager about this." And so they went into the factory, found the manager, and the foreman said, "This guy thinks he's a bear." And they both laughed. And the manager said, "Oh, no, you're not a bear. You are a silly man who hasn't shaved in a while, and you're wearing a fur coat." And the bear said, "Put on the bear." They went through all the chains of management, and everywhere it was the same. Every time someone in that higher level of bossiness would, "Oh, you're not a bear, you're a man, a silly man who hasn't shaved in a while, and you're wearing a fur coat." And every single time, the bear would say, "Put on the bear." Oh, so it went all morning long. The bear trying to explain, and then they even put the bear in a car, drove him to the zoo, so he could see other bears. Well, those bears were zoo bears. They hadn't been in the forest, and they were, "That's not a bear, that's a silly man who hasn't shaved in a while, and he's wearing a fur coat." And the bear again said, "Put on the bear." And then they went to the same thing. The bears there didn't recognize them because they were trained bears. They were on their bicycles around, laughing very hard. I made that part up. It's not actually in the book. It's this poor bear. Nobody recognized him for who he was, but he knew the whole time that he was indeed a bear. And now we're going to sing the children to the activities. Anybody want to carry Guinness and hang out with him? You don't have to. He's fine staying with me, too. You want to carry the bear, Maddie? Excellent. All right, let's sing our kids out.
I'm finding that there's a nice cushy thing to stand on up here, but I'm not used to such comforts. It's really nice. November 20th has been designated the Transgender Day of Remembrance, remembering and honoring those who've been the subject of violence because of their identity. Kind Reverend Michelle has organized a fabulous service here for you, but I asked if I could tell a brief story about something that happened to me recently. A couple weeks ago, I went on a cruise, first time ever, the last time ever, with 7 members of my family. And that was also another story, not for today. But the ship left and we sailed toward Bermuda and spent a day there, and the next stop was to be the Bahamas and Nassau. And all of a sudden people were around saying, "Well, I think it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen." Well, we'd planned some snorkeling and some other activities. Finally, the announcement was made because of weather. The boat would be turning around and heading back to a different port, and we wouldn't be getting to snorkel or go to the Bahamas. Well, we didn't know that the stop that was now planned for us, the ship captain must respond when it's weather. They have to go directly to where they're told for safety, that now we were going to be docking in Cape Canaveral, Florida. As we heard this announcement, I saw 2 members of my family kind of huddled, and they were talking closely to themselves, and they looked up and I saw concern on their faces, and my niece in particular, tears coming down. And I said, "What's happening?" And she said, "We can't go to Florida. If we get off the boat, Jude could be arrested if he goes to the bathroom, and we won't spend our money in Florida." And I said, I won't be getting either. As the story became larger, we realized that some members of my family had understanding of what risk it would take for Jude to go to Florida, use the bathroom, maybe be arrested, maybe go to prison. Who knows? The ship would leave without them. And it just brought home very clearly the stake. You know, sometimes we don't know until it's right in our face what kind of hateful laws and hateful lies are told until it's right there. It's on the ground, and what happens is real, and it's powerful, and it has impact. So today, we're going to light a candle and place it in the midst of the labyrinth that symbolizes all that we are as a community of faith, our sorrows and our joys, our witness and actions to bring more hope to a hurting world. We offer this prayer, generously shared by Reverend Sunshine Jeremiah Wolf. On this day, we remember those who have been murdered for being who they are, those who face violence on a daily basis, those who have lost loved ones, and for loved ones. May we come to a time when we cease to shame children around gender roles and expression, where we allow for freedom and exploration of identity and expression, and may we create a world that operates from love, especially when things are difficult and confusing. May all of us who live with the threat of violence find support, strength, community, hope, and safety from violence. Amen, and blessed be. Please remain seated now as we sing our song of affirmation, number 1053 in the Teal hymnal. The words will be on the screen, called How Could Anyone? And we'll sing it through twice. As you use, our values are grounded in social justice. Call us to learn more about the topics and issues. Let's give a warm welcome now to our guest speaker from Gender Equality New York, Juli Grey-Owens.
Good morning. Good morning. But I'm a bear. All right, let's get serious. Prior to the election, I had an opportunity to attend a debate regarding Proposition 1, the ballot initiative that will protect New Yorkers' reproductive rights, including the right to abortion, as well as adding all current New York State human rights laws protected classes into our state constitution. I will point out that this is one piece of election news that was extremely positive, as the passing of Prop 1 will create a more just, fair, and safe New York. However, I was surprised to hear the opposition's arguments against Prop 1. Rather than focus on what I thought might be the main issue of abortion, which might not work in the blue state of New York, these foes of the initiative decided to specifically attack the transgender community. Using fear, misinformation, and outright lies, they attempted to create a wedge issue to blunt the momentum of the passage of the proposition. During the debate, I continued to hear about common sense, which to me is now becoming a dog whistle for discriminatory policies. By using the term common sense, they allow the public to be manipulated in ways they would resist if the manipulation was carried out more openly. And they often draw on racist, homophobic, and transgender attitudes that most people would reject. I heard all about biological men and boys participating in women's sports. I heard how schools are confusing our children by allowing an awareness of gender identity. And I heard the usual argument that men will be attacking girls and women in restrooms. What I did not hear was 1 ounce of understanding, 1 speck of compassion, 1 drip of respect, 1 crumb of kindness. You see, the gender-expansive community, which includes transgender and gender non-binary people, are now the political football of our times. We are the butt of late-night television jokes, the target of right-wing extremists, and the reason why this world is inflamed in violence and hate. Did you see the Trump campaign ad that openly linked our community to illegal immigration and prison inmates? So why all the anti-transgender sentiment? Specifically, religious intolerance, political or ideological differences, social conformity, disbelief, fear of the unfamiliar, fear of change, misconceptions or stereotypes, and a lack of empathy and compassion. These all continue to impact my community. It is important to understand that people who do not conform to gender-based stereotypes or whose gender expression or presentation identity that differs from one that's associated with their anatomical sex often experience discomfort, distrust, fear, and aggression by the public. These feelings and beliefs can progress to abuse, harassment, and discrimination. Gender-expansive people feel that they must be who they are or face the consequences of potential family rejection, the possible loss of employment, housing, or other public services. Those who are brave enough to be out regularly face some form of mistreatment. The lack of understanding leads to a lack of empathy and produces deep-seated hostility. Because many of the members of the transgender, gender non-binary, and intersex community conceal their authentic selves, no effective steps to normalize the community can be taken. This combination continues the vicious cycle of a poorly informed general public that forces gender-expansive people underground, which in turn keeps the general public from learning about their life experiences and the discrimination and violence they endure. Issues our community face include a lack of understanding by the general public, federal and state and local governments and agencies not set up to protect and nourish our community, poorly informed lawmakers and decision makers, and non-existent legislation to properly protect the rights of gender-expansive people. Community advocates that I work with have determined that in order for things to change, we must engage in education and outreach to create public understanding and influence social attitudes. So let's take a few minutes to give you a little bit of information that I hope you will take with you today. The first question I have is, could 117,000 New Yorkers be wrong? That is the estimated number of gender-expansive people in New York State. So I always like to begin when I do my trainings, I always like to say, before we talk about people like me, let's talk about people like you. Now, I don't know what's in each and every one of your hearts, but statistically speaking, most of you are what we call cisgender. And we talk about cisgender, we're talking about a person whose personal identity matches the sex designation given to them at birth. I can't even read the slides from here. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to move over a little bit. I have these things, I do this so often, I have these memorized, but it's awfully hard to remember every single step exactly where I have them. We'll be right with you.
You're a bear.
I like being able to move around anyway, so this is great. All right, so let me get down here. All right, so a cisgender person is a person whose personal identity matches the sex designation given to them at birth. And when we're talking about that, we have to understand that everything starts at the moment of birth. The baby comes out, they will make sure that there's eye drops put in the baby's eyes, they'll clear the air passage, they'll wipe the baby all down if everything looks good, and somebody spreads the legs and yells out, "It's a boy" or "It's a girl." And if that person grows up and matches that sex designation, they are cisgender. That's what the word means. That's all it means. So most cultures use a gender binary, and by gender binary we're talking about two genders, male or female, to define its members. Currently, experts believe that cisgender people represent 4% of the world's population. So that's why that's a supermajority. That's why, statistically speaking, I was safe saying most of you are probably cisgender, because you could close your eyes and throw a dart, you're going to hit a cisgender person, right? People will come up to me and say, "Well, Julie, that's not a real word." Well, it is a real word, but let's look at the word to begin with. If you look at the prefix cis, that comes from the Latin word meaning on the same side. And it's been used as a word since 1994, and it was added to the Oxford English Dictionary in 2015 and the Merriam-Webster Dictionary in 2016. And the important thing to understand is that being cisgender has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. It doesn't tell us anything at all about who you can love, who you're married. It just means that you match the designation given to you at birth. That's all it means. And I'm going to be referring, while we're talking now and also later this afternoon, about cisgender people or cis people. So it gives us a baseline to understand. 99.4% of the world is cisgender. That's a hell of a baseline. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about my community, transgender people. That is a person whose personal identity does not match the sex designation given at birth, and that's all it means. We have to understand that transgender identities are a natural part of human diversity, and it's nothing that parents can cause or change. It's just a part of the human being, and we'll talk more about that. When we take a look at the word transgender and we look at the prefix trans, that word comes from a Latin word meaning across. So when we talk about transgender people, we're talking about a cross gender, and we talk about cisgender people. Does everybody remember? On the same side, you match, we don't. And when we talk about the word transgender, we're talking about an umbrella term that encompasses a lot of people with different life experiences and so forth. And we have to understand, because of that, there's a lot of different experiences going on. And it includes, for example, people who live authentically full-time, 24 hours a day, 52 weeks a year, as their authentic self. It also includes people who maybe project as cisgender to their family or work, and maybe on a Saturday night or a Friday night, they go to a party or they have dinner with a friend, and they can then be their authentic self. But 99% of the time, because of work or family, they're not allowed to be able to be who they are, so they have to hide who they are. It also includes people who take hormones or have surgery, and also those who don't. So we have a lot of different experiences, and hopefully later this afternoon when we do the presentation, we'll give you a better understanding. But this is a little bit of a beginner's look at it. Again, as we talked about with cisgender people, being transgender has nothing to do about sexual orientation. It doesn't tell you anything about who I love, who I can love, who I'm married to, who my partner is. It tells you nothing. All it tells you is I don't match the designation given to me at birth. That's all it tells me. And I'm going to use the term this afternoon and right now, trans and transgender interchangeably. So when I say trans, just accept the fact I'm saying transgender. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. However, I have to tell you that language continues to change. And this used to be a nice umbrella for everyone. But the reality is that we're finding is that transgender people, when they talk about themselves, are becoming more and more binary. Like when I introduce myself, I tell people I'm a trans woman, okay? You'll hear about, a male with transgender experience, that type of thing. So transgender people, it's starting to separate, and what we're finding is, we're going to talk a few minutes about gender non-binary people, but some gender non-binary people walk around going, I'm non-binary, but I'm not transgender. And the transgender community is like, well, why are we including these people? They have nothing to do with who we are. So the reality is that we're actually seeing the community separating a little bit. And so the term transgender doesn't work as well as it could have or used to. And so now we use the term gender expansive as a more flexible, wider range. And so when we talk about gender expansive, we are talking about transgender and gender non-binary people all together on the umbrella. And currently, experts believe that gender expansive people represent 0.6 of a world's percent. Now, that 0.6%, if you recall, cisgender people were 99.4. We're the balance, 0.6%, which is a very small number, except for the fact that when you look in New York State, that 0.6% represents over 117,000 people. Now, I didn't check what that meant in Buffalo, but just to give you an idea, on Long Island, our Nassau and Suffolk counties together, that represents over 17,000 people. And people are shocked when they hear these numbers, like, oh my God, I thought there were only 20 or 30 people. I mean, people will come up to me and go, do you know Charlie? He's a transgender person. I might, I know a lot of Charlies, but I don't know if I know that one. So just to get you an idea. All right, when I introduce myself, I tell people that I'm a trans person, and they're like, well, are you a trans man? And I'm like, no, not a trans man. Well, they go, well, Julie, I know that you were born male, and I know that you're transgender. Doesn't that make you a trans man? No, it does not. A trans girl or trans woman identifies as female, but was assigned the sex of male at birth. Conversely, a trans boy or trans man identifies as male, but was assigned the sex of female at birth. So I am a trans woman. A younger version of me might be a trans girl. And the opposite sex of me would be a trans man or trans boy. Let's talk a little bit about gender conforming. And when I'm talking about gender conforming, I'm talking about behavior and appearance that conforms to social expectations for one's gender. Our culture classifies gender into two discrete categories, male and female, and that's better known as the gender binary. And if we were to look at these two pictures down at the bottom, let's take a look at the one on the left first. What do I see? Well, I see 3 men. How do I know they're men? Well, I can tell by their hairstyles, I can tell by their clothing, and I can also tell, and I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek, it looks like they're getting ready to make an important decision. And we know men are leaders and they make important decisions. Now, in this case, it may be where they're going to go get a beer. I don't know, but that's what we have there. If we take a look at the picture on the right, what do I see? Well, I see a group of women politely clapping. Maybe they have a garden club or something, and they had a bake sale, and the bake sale made enough money, and they're going to buy seeds or plants or whatever. And, again, I'm going to say this tongue-in-cheek. We know women are supportive and comforting. We don't expect them to be leaders. But the reality is that we know that women can be great leaders. And we also know that men can be comforting and supportive. Anytime you go into an emergency room at a hospital, you might run into a male nurse, and every male nurse that I've run into is absolutely fantastic. Not only are they comforting and supportive, but they can pick you up and put you on the bed if they need to. So it's really a positive thing. The idea of gender conformity is based on the claim that people with, I'm going to use the term male genitals because we are in church, are men, and they should be unemotional, strong leaders and protectors. You know, John Wayne. And people with female genitals, and again, I changed that for church, are women, and they should be gentle, passive, and nurturing. You know, watch any 1960s, 1970s, 1980s comedy. Where's mom? She's in the kitchen, she's in the background. We only bring her out if the kid is crying or something. You know, come here, Beaver, let me hug you. That's all we see of her. For many people, the gender binary dictates occupations and careers, responsibilities, form of dress, public and private behavior, sexual orientation, your names, your pronouns, and your personality traits. We have an expectation. Oh, you are designated male, therefore we expect this from you. Oh, you were designated female, we expect this from you. Now we need to talk about a group of people that some people call gender nonconforming. We prefer gender non-binary. Other terms used to talk about this group of people include agender, genderqueer, and gender fluid. And we're talking about a group of people who do not feel male or female and who may have behaviors and appearances that don't conform to society's gender expectations. Non-binary people are not confused about their gender identity. They may vary in their expressions, how they dress, how they project, and so forth, but they all share a deep, persistent unease with being associated with only the sex designation that was assigned to them at birth. They may feel they embody elements of both sexes, or that they're in between, or there's something completely different, or they don't identify with gender at all. And again, being non-binary has nothing to do with sexual orientation. It just means that you are uncomfortable with the sex designation given to you at birth. The important thing to understand is that some non-binary members may take hormones or have surgery to make themselves feel more comfortable in their bodies. And the other thing that's important to understand is this is not a new concept. This is something that's not new. Humanity, we've had cultures and societies around the world for centuries with positions of respect. Here in North America, before the Europeans came over, many of the Native American tribes had positions of respect for the people they called the Two-Spirit people. And it was understood that they could see both the male world and the female world and would be able to make good decisions for both, which is why they were given the position of responsibility. Of all the slides that I'm going to show you today, to me, the next two slides are the most important. If you take anything away, to me, this is the most important. We are now starting to find, well, let me go a different way. We will hear conservative leaders, conservative religious leaders talk about this as a lifestyle or a choice. The American Medical Association, the American Psychological Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, all define this condition as a disconnect between the sex assigned at birth and the gender role that the brain identifies with. Researchers are finding a clear correlation between transgender people's brains and their gender identity. Studies are now beginning to show that brain activity matches gender identity. In 2018, a Netherlands research study showed that transgender people's brains are wired like the gender that they identify as, not the sex assigned to them at birth. The important thing that we have to understand and know, and I find this fascinating because I did not know this originally, is that male and female brains have different sizes and they function differently. There literally is a difference between a female brain and a male brain. And we think about, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Well, there really is a condition that causes this. Using MRI scans, researchers found that participants who were trans women, someone like me, had brain structure and neurological patterns that were very similar to a cisgender female's brain. And guess what? They found the same thing when they took a look at transgender men. Their neurological brain structure and patterns mirrored cisgender males. Further, there have been studies, post-mortem studies, on transgender women's brains. Again, that would be a male to female brain that did not take hormones. And they found that the brain volumes and cortical thickness of the trans women's brains were similar to that of cisgender females. So when we tell you this is who we are, we mean it on a physical and a mental level. I will tell you that no person would say, yep, I want to be transgender. Nobody does that. It is a situation where we realize that we are, and then we have to figure out how to negotiate it in a society that only allows for two. So kind of wrapping this up, it's important for you to understand that there's an urgent need to create safe and affirming faith-based spaces for gender-expansive people. Everyone should have the support they need from a religious community while enjoying the freedom to be who they are. Our community members need and deserve the opportunity for religious and spiritual exploration while having our identities valued. And your care and sensitivity can create a setting of respect and trust for a community of people who face constant discomfort, distrust, hostility, and fear. You can create a spiritual environment where all people, regardless of their gender identity, gender expression, or sexual orientation, feel safe and comforted in their individual spiritual growth. Now, later this afternoon, we will be going into this topic in a lot more detail. But my attempt was to, at least for those of you who are here and are going to run home because you've got things to do and the bills are playing, it's important for you to at least take some of these messages with you today. And so I hope that it makes some sense. If there is time, I've been asked if we would stay and answer any questions you have. I will be here until there are no questions left, no matter when or how. I want to thank you. Unhook me.
Thank you so much, Julie. Wow. All right, so I know that some of you have RSVP'd in advance for the second portion, and so I'm just curious, partly from a providing food point of view, how many of you are planning to attend this the second portion, which starts at noon? Yeah, let's see, even if you RSVP'd. Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't have to be only the RSVP people. RSVP people, that's very funny to say. Okay, thank you, that helps me to know. It just helps me to know, thank you. And there will be more directions at the end of the service about like where to go, how to get there, all of that in just a little bit. But for now, it's time to sing. It's always time to sing with me. So I invite you to rise and body your spirit as we sing a really popular Holly Near song, We Are a Gentle, Angry People. Gray Hymnal number 170.
We are You may be seated. It occurs to me that we need to create another verse for that of we are cis and trans together. So next time we sing it, be ready for a 7th verse.
Making time for an offering of gifts and pledges is an opportunity for us to live into one of the core values of Unitarian Universalism, generosity. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. This congregation exists because of you, the acts of service you engage in, and your generous contributions. Every aspect of congregational life is made possible because of the generosity of friends and members, you. If you'd like to help pass the baskets, come on forward.
So Marjorie has 2 baskets, and I have 2 baskets. So my
The
2 are
offering
gone.
will now be gratefully received. As our service draws to an end, our service to the world is ready to begin. All are invited to stay for coffee and conversation in the Emerson room, which is through the double doors at the back of the chapel or through the lobby. Parents, please remember to gather up your children and bring them to coffee hour, or feel free to take them. Oh, did I miss something?
Extinguishing the child.
Oh, that part. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Oh, there it is. I love making mistakes because it reminds me it's not all about me. Anybody else can relate? We're working on it. We began our service with the lighting of the chalice, a symbolic act to remind us that each of us is a spark that creates the flame each one of us brings to represent the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of our commitment to bring more compassion and justice to the world. We extinguish the chalice, not to quench the flame, but to return it to individual hearts. Please join me as we extinguish our combined flame and accept the renewed flame in your own heart, that each of us might bring more light and love to a dark and hurting world. Please say together the words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again. Now I say. As our service draws to an end, the world and our service to the world is ready to begin. You're all invited for coffee and conversation. Parents, please remember to pick up your kids and bring them to coffee hour, or feel free to take them to the playground with your supervision. Our staff and volunteers will be shifting gears to make spaces ready for the presentation at noon. A reminder that the next portion of our speaker's presentation will take place at noon in the Murray Meeting Room, which is in the Administrative and Faith Development Wing, just off the lobby. We'll ring a chime in the Emerson room at 11:55 for those who wish to participate. And now we have a special Thanksgiving-related announcement. Is Vanessa? There you are. Vanessa Dawson.
Good morning. I'm Vanessa Dawson. I'm from Penelope's Place, a farm sanctuary that's located in Akron, New York. I am teaming up with PETA, actually, to give out some free Thanksgiving vegan roasts this year, and that'll be next week in the Emerson room after service. So if you are veg curious and you wanted to experience what a vegan roast would be, or you're interested in just trying that out, you are more than welcome to take one of those home with you. It's a full, nice, big roast. And if there's anybody that you know that might be in need, you're welcome to grab one for them as well. We do have a limited amount, but yeah, we just wanted to spread the compassion and the love for this Thanksgiving. So see you next week.
And speaking of Thanksgiving, all are welcome to attend our Thanksgiving Day potluck lunch here. There's a sign-up sheet at the welcome desk. Please sign up today so we can make plans. And our annual generosity and stewardship campaign is underway, and you are invited to participate. You can find pledge forms on the table in the lobby. Aside from occasional grant money, and I say occasional, for special projects, UU Amherst is completely self-sustaining. You can be part of building the foundation for the next 70 years through generous contributions and faithful stewardship. Okay, so where will that be? That's our connection card. Okay, thank you. There's, in the back, there's some connection cards for those of you who may be new today and want some more information about the congregation. Those will be back in the back of the chapel, right there. Okay. Is that what? One in every bench. Oh, and there's also one on every bench. Thanks, Jimmy. You'll find many opportunities for community personal growth and service printed in your order of service, in the newsletter, and on our website. Remember, this place becomes your place as you participate in the life of the congregation. And now, please rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing blessing, and remain standing afterward for the benediction.
Now twinkle your eyes at one another. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found and the courage to take it step by step. Go in peace, return in love.